Hey there, my name is Megan and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a review for SNOWGLOBE by SOYOUNG PARK. SNOWGLOBE is a new young adult dystopian novel that is set to be released in February 2024. It was originally written in Korean and has been luckily translated into English for us, and this is the author's debut work from my understanding. So I got this book at YALLFest, which I was lucky enough to attend about 2 weeks ago. I do have a book haul for all of the books that I got from YALLFest. So if you have not checked that out, I will link that up in the cards for you guys, and I will also put it down in the description box below. But I was able to receive a lot of good arcs there, and this was one of them, and the premise just piqued my interest. But the way that I structure this review is I talk about what the book is about, some things that I liked, some things that I didn't like, and then I give the book an overall rating. I will definitely put the timestamps down below in the description box, so if you want to jump to one point or another, you certainly can. But before we get started, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button and throw some support my way. Also, check down in the description box below for links to my Amazon shop, where I list all of the books that I talk about on my channel that I really enjoyed, as well as my Patreon, where you can be entered into winning book giveaways from me. In SNOWGLOBE, we are following a world that has gone through a climate change crisis. Essentially, the world has entered into a new ice age, and every part of the world is essentially frozen all of the time, and a lot of mankind hasn't survived. We're following a main character named Chobam, and she lives in Korea, South Korea, and obviously she's dealing with this extreme weather. But there is this giant dome called SNOWGLOBE, and inside SNOWGLOBE there are very habitable conditions, but the only people that are allowed in SNOWGLOBE are actors and directors, etc. People who are willing to live their lives on reality TV in exchange for the comforts of living inside this dome. So we're following Chobam, and all she wants is to be a director and to get accepted into director school inside of SNOWGLOBE. But one day she's actually approached by this really, really famous director known as Director Cha, who has directed this really famous show called The Harai Show. And forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but this is following the life of this girl. She is like the public's darling. Everybody loves her. Everybody's grown up with her. And Chobam actually loves this girl too. And ironically, she looks a lot like her. So Director Cha tells Chobam that Harai has actually committed suicide, and that they need her to take Harai's place and keep the show going without revealing the truth to the public. So Chobam enters into this agreement, but once she gets to SNOWGLOBE, she realizes that there is a lot more going on with the truth of Harai's death, the way SNOWGLOBE operates, kind of the inner workings of the politics and the directors and the actors and all of this together. So that is what SNOWGLOBE is about. So I'm going to discuss the things that I liked first. So this book was definitely easy to read and fast-paced because it is a story that has been done multiple times. It was definitely easy to get into the world, and the author provided just enough world building to help me understand what was going on, but it definitely wasn't in depth. And it was very fast-paced. I really like how the author set up this mystery. So how come Chobam looks like Harai? What happened to Harai? It definitely was an interesting premise, an interesting world. I love dystopian, so that sucked me in very, very quickly. There were definitely some odd things in this book that I found interesting, but on the flip side weren't explained very well. For example, there were these, I'm gonna call them magic mirrors, but they weren't magic. There were these mirrors that acted like portals, where the main character Chobam could literally step through them and get to other parts of SNOWGLOBE and sometimes outside of SNOWGLOBE. I thought that was a really cool premise, but the author never actually explained how they worked. I thought it was cool. It just wasn't followed up well. I also thought that the main character, Chobam, was incredibly relatable, because if you think about our current world and how much we revere celebrities and social media influencers, we can definitely see ourselves in Chobam, because she absolutely loved Harai. She wanted to be Harai. And obviously these reality shows, they're only showing the best things of these people's lives. They're not showing all of the negatives that come with it. And in my personal opinion, social media is incredibly fake. These reality shows are incredibly fake. So they are trying to make it out like it's a real situation. We're following these characters' lives, but in truth, they're only showing certain snippets without providing correct context. So I just feel like a lot of young people fall into the trap of wanting to be like these people and not understanding that they're just real people who struggle like us and their lives aren't as glamorous as they make them out to be, which is exactly what we found out about Harai and her existence. I think the author did a great job in just pulling in like those real life inspirations and helping the reader connect to them. And lastly, I really did enjoy the twist at the end where the author reveals like the truth about Harai and Chabam and like a couple of other characters that we get introduced to. I really am surprised that I didn't see it coming. Like I didn't have the foresight to see it, because looking back, I'm like, that was completely obvious and the only explanation, but I didn't guess it. So I really enjoyed that the author was able to surprise me with that twist. That is definitely a vital part of the plot. As for the things I disliked, like I said earlier, I feel like this is definitely recycled content. Nothing in this book, in my opinion, was anything new. It was just ideas and content that has been done before, but just in a different way. So that was a little bit disappointing. I also thought that the translation was well done, but in my personal opinion, readers just lose some of the beauty of the original prose when a book is translated. That is no fault of the author. That's no fault of the translator. I just think it's what happens when you translate a book. So yes, the book was easy to read, but the prose was just very basic to me. I also thought that the reason I was able to get through this book so quickly is that it lacked a lot of deep themes and deep character development. YA can be hit or miss, because I read some YA books that have some super deep themes and really make me think, and then some that are just like themes that have been recycled over and over, and unfortunately this book fell into that. So we get the theme of like a young girl aspiring to be more. We get the theme of a power imbalance, disparity between those who have wealth and those who don't. It definitely didn't make me think in any sort of like critical thinking fashion. There were also some things in the story that were talked about but never elaborated on. So for example, in order to power SNOWGLOBE, they literally use human labor. So outside of SNOWGLOBE, the people literally walk on like hamster wheels to generate power, and inside SNOWGLOBE, those who are meant to go to prison or on like death row are the ones that generate power. And once Chabam finds this out, well, first off, she knew about like the power plant in her hometown because she used to work at it and she used to be one of those people that walked on the hamster wheel. But like that's just like never addressed. It's just really odd, because this is supposed to be like a futuristic type novel, and it seems like all the technology in this novel, we've regressed backwards. Like, you're telling me that we have to use human power labor in order to like turn a wheel, and this is supposed to be the future. And there was just a couple of other technological things that were brought to my attention that just didn't make sense. Like, there were many times where Chabam was using like a landline, or she was using a VHS. I mean, VHSs aren't even around anymore, but she was looking at videos. Like, it literally says in the book, a VHS. And I'm like, this is supposed to be the future. How are we using antiquated technology? That didn't line up for me, and it kind of threw me every time I would read about it. But then the author throws in like current technology like cloning and genetic engineering, and I'm like, okay, this is described as like a sci-fi dystopian. I'm like, there's no sci-fi in this other than like a mention of cloning, because everything else is technology that is slowly becoming obsolete. And finally, I thought that the ending was going to be a little bit different with regards to Chabam's decision, meaning that after everything is said and done, she still wants to make a reality show about everything that she had been through and some of the characters or people that she met like along the way that have to do with the plot. And I'm like, if you just found out everything that you found out and you learned everything you learned, wouldn't you want to like use your influence to make some changes in the world you live in, not to start a reality show? Address maybe the state of well-being where you came from and like the living conditions of the people where you came from, or like the power imbalance between where you came from and the people who live in SNOWGLOBE. There's just a whole host of issues that should have been addressed, and instead Chabam's like, I want to make a reality show. And it just like, I don't know, I just was expecting more from her, to be maybe like a more mature character after everything that she'd been through, and she just wasn't. All in all, SNOWGLOBE was an overly fun read. I did enjoy myself reading it. Unfortunately, it just did not really hit me deeply. The characters I didn't connect with in a huge way. There was nothing about the book that made me think critically or kind of spark my intellectual interest. It was just a fun read. However, on the flip side, there was nothing about this book that was overly negative or that I had overly negative opinions towards. which is why I enjoyed it. So I feel like if you like YA dystopian and you just want something to read and take your mind off of, you know, whatever you're going through, then this would work. And I ended up giving Snow Globe a 3 out of 5 stars. And the end of the book did set up for a sequel, and as of right now, I have no intention of reading the sequel. I just did not enjoy the story enough, or the writing style enough, or the characters enough for me to invest time into reading a sequel. And like I said, Snow Globe's release date is set for February 2024. Alright, you guys, that is it for my review of Snow Globe by SOYOUNG PARK. Let me know in the comments if you've read this book yet or if you plan on reading it, and I will see you all in another video soon. Goodbye!